So what does a facilitator then actually do? How does one lead a group that accomplishes life transformation? Well, the role of the facilitator, according to one thinker, he says, look, true teaching is not that which gives knowledge. In other words, you're the expert that hands it out. But it's leading a group that stimulates pupils to gain it. Again, moving people from passive learning to active learning. He who teaches best teaches least. A longtime professor of Bible study methods at Dallas Seminary, Howard Hendricks, said that we should be questioning answers more than answering questions. Interesting way of looking at teaching. Don't give out quick and easy answers. It's better to leave students wrestling, scratching their heads, leaving class or leaving a session wanting to know the answer, but having to work at it, having to dig for it. That's when students really learn. It's kind of like you becoming the teacher. When you become the teacher of anything and you have to dig up the information, put it in a structure, and teach it, you wrestle with it. You have to work pretty hard at it. So what are some guiding principles? Well, first of all, we're talking about a disciplined exploration here. It's not just let's share our ignorance on a subject. There's a focus involved. You're trying to get somewhere. It's disciplined, not just whatever says goes, whatever anyone says goes. But you are bringing into it life experiences. You're searching for full significance on this topic. Don't assume one person has all the answers. You want to get the group's life experiences engaged into it. I'll never forget, I was facilitating a discussion on apologetics, on defending the faith. And not until everyone started to participate did I realize the amount of anxiety, of fear about engaging in apologetics or apologetic discussions. You need to be a good listener. You need to let people share their life experience. You want everyone following the line of thought. And the facilitator is really important here to keep everyone not only following it, but everyone engaged in it. You want to plumb the group's experiences. You want to know what's in their head more than what you have to share. And that's a challenge for all of us. We all tend to revert to telling people what we know. Aim for consensus. Again, you're moving a group towards answering an important question, theological or otherwise. You're never going to get 100%, everybody agrees on every aspect of your topic's answer, but strive towards it. Try to get consensus. And then at the end say, most of us agree that this is what this passage is saying, or this is what this article has taught us. You need to be a good conversationalist. You need to be able to ask open questions that don't result in a yes or no. There's a whole skill involved in doing that. You need to listen well. Because if you're not listening well, if you're more worried about what you're going to say next, you're not going to listen to where this dialogue is going. You're not going to hear what kind of life experiences people are bringing to this discussion, and you won't be able to build on that or extend on it. So your role is to be a motivator. Get people involved in the discussion. Get them on track with the topic, with the challenge that's been presented before you. You're an enabler. You're stimulating thinking. You're asking penetrating questions. You're a clarifier. Explain what's been said. Say, I hear you saying this. Am I on track? Or ask others, what do you think has just been said? How would you put that into words? Affirmer. Constantly affirm the people in your group. Thank you for sharing that. That was great. Thanks for telling us a little bit about your background. A challenger. Sometimes you do have to challenge what people say, but always do it with tact. Always do it with gentleness and humility. If you jump on someone, guess what? They're adults. They'll leave. Redirector. John, what do you think about what Sue just said? You don't want a back and forth dialogue just between you and the participants. You want it going from participant. That's a discussion. Again, you want everybody engaged. Now, you're not trying to be the judge. Don't sit back and then grade everything that's said. Well, that was a D- comment. That'll kill the group real fast. The greatest temptation will be to become the preacher. You want to dump your theological dump truck of ideas on everybody. You're the expert. No, you're not the expert here. You want them to be the expert. So, don't be the preacher and don't be the scholar. The scholar sits back and just kind of, well, what do you think? And isn't real excited, isn't real, being scholarly, being academic in this case isn't helpful. You want to be on the edge of your seat. You want to anticipate. I want to know what you folks are thinking. Be excited about it. And finally, the expert is kind of like the preacher. Yeah, I may have spent the last year studying eschatology. Don't dump it on them. Find out what they think about it. Compare it to the text. Always point back to the word, back to the article. Let them be the experts on what they've read, and they'll judge the material. They'll work it out. They need to be active. If you become the expert, they'll become the listener. Finally, the goal is active learning. It's that simple. When people become engaged, they learn more. You want life transformation. That happens when people are engaged, when they're active. And the goal is Christ-likeness. That's where we're headed with all this.